2000 right back at you with another video. Yes. Welcome back to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Collect All Monsters. And yeah, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Yes. We got one more video to go. And that will be it as far as like regular content on the channel. So I got a doozy for y'all today. Not one, not two, not three, but four. Four figures that I'm going to review in this video for you today. Yes. Oh God, this is so great. I'm looking at them right now, as you can see, and I'm thoroughly impressed. I am so thoroughly impressed with these four pieces. Again, from an awesome, great model kit studio, from two great, special, awesome people. But I'll get into that momentarily. But again, you already clicked the title. You know exactly what we're covering here. So let's dive head first into this again. 4 resin model kit review. And today we take a look at the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo resin model kits of Anguirus, Rodan, Minya, and Kumonga 2004 from the super cool appearance from Godzilla Final Wars. And as you can see, I have all 4 beautiful kits here in all their glory. Oh my God, this is so amazing. Now, before I go any further, I already know. If you have subscribed to my channel and you're familiar with the way I do things and my opinion on certain things and movies and monsters, y'all already know that Final Wars, Godzilla Final Wars, isn't exactly, we don't have the best relationship. Now, I don't flat out hate the film. I never said I hated it. I'm just not the biggest fan of that movie, but I am a fan of certain monster designs from that movie, hence why I got these awesome figures right here, you know. But again, since we're getting down to the closing moments of the channel, you know what, at least I can show this film some love before I get up out of here. And I'm definitely going to show this film some love during the course of this video. So again, thank you for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Now, I'm going to give a huge shout out and thank you to 2 special people for making this video happen. First and foremost, Doc Mack. He's the awesome guy that runs the Galloping Ghost Arcade in Chicago, Illinois. Again, you have heard his name on my channel before. He is also a great model kit enthusiast, and he's also developed his own company, Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. It specializes in creating these awesome resin model kits of these obscure monsters that may not be out there heavily represented in the marketplace. So again, thank you to Doc. I really do appreciate it. As a matter of fact, Doc was the one that not only, again, was behind the sculpts, at least his company was behind the sculpts of these figures. He actually built and painted the Kumonga. So again, thank you so much for that. And of course, Marcellus Winters, again, the guy who needs no introduction. Again, one of the greatest artists in our community right now. Of course, he's one of my best friends in the entire world right now. He's responsible for building and painting Minya, excuse me. It doesn't matter. Anguirus and Rodan. So thank you, Marcellus, for making it happen for me. So again, thank you to Doc. Thank you to Marcellus. I really do appreciate it. And again, these monsters are in the 30cm scale. They're resin model kits from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo from Godzilla Final Wars. And again, this is not the first Kaiju Kobo, at least Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo kit I was able to acquire for myself. Of course, the first one I got was the 1972 Godzilla 30cm resin model kit. I did that review a couple of months ago. It's in the archives of the channel. Sculpted and built and painted by my awesome great friend Burley Vane. So technically that was the first Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo kit I was able to acquire for myself. And again, I've been really focused on what they're doing, Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, because again, they're specializing in creating, or at least releasing, resin model kits of these monsters, the obscure monsters that may not be getting a lot of love in the current marketplace as we know it, you know what I'm saying? And again, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Final Wars, again, I'm a huge fan of certain monsters in the film, not the entire roster of the monsters, but, you know, I would say like a good chunk of them, which again, which is why I'm going after these pieces. So I'm glad that Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo is again going after these characters, releasing these characters that we otherwise might not see from other companies in the future. Not to mention that Final Wars celebrates its 20th anniversary next year. So again, there's gonna be a lot of love shown towards this film. So I'm gonna do my part before we get up out of here on the closing moments of the channel. You know what I'm saying? Now, the backstory about these resin model kits is I believe that Minya was released this year of 2023, whereas Kumonga, Anguirus, and Rodan, they were released last year of 2022. Now, I got a Kumonga built and painted fully intact. I got that from Doc Mack. Personally, I got that from him, I want to say a couple months ago, around October of this year, 2023. And I got Manila, Anguirus, and Rodan at G-Fest this past year. And again, I had Marcellus build and paint them for me. I'm just finally getting my hands on these three recently. So that is how I got these resin model kits, you know what I'm saying? And I highly suggest you go to their website, Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, and see if you can get your hands on some of their kits. Because again, he's doing the entire roster of Final Wars in 30cm scale, you know what I'm saying? Now, I do have a few Final Wars pieces in my collection, courtesy of X Plus, that's already in 30cm scale. So I'm not going to go after probably a good chunk of what he's done outside the ones that I do have. But outside of these, the only three I do want to get for myself, I want to get the 30cm Final Wars Hedra. That kit looks really cool, you know what I'm saying? Even though I prefer the Showa Hedra, but I would so love to add that into my collection because it is a good sculpt and it's a good size from what I understand. The next one is King Seesaw from Final Wars, even though the suit, oh my god. Oh god, the suit looked like a rundown bear rug in the movie. But I do love King Seesaw. I do love that monster as a character. So I wouldn't mind having that in my collection, you know what I'm saying? So I would like to get that at sometime in the future. And last is maybe a controversial pick, but I don't care. I want to get Zilla. I want to get Zilla 2004 again. The kit that they're doing looks absolutely great, you know what I'm saying? So I want to get the visual on my shelf of the Japanese Godzilla up against Zilla, you know what I'm saying? Recreate that 2-second battle. You know what I'm saying? So those are the three that I'm highly interested in outside of these four. Zilla, King Seesaw, and Hedra. And hopefully I can get my hands on those kits that, you know, real soon. If not, hopefully another company like X Plus or somebody will release those characters in vinyl figure form, you know, or whatever. I think somebody will, because again, the film does celebrate 20 years next year, so why not celebrate it, you know what I'm saying? Even though it may not be the best in the world when it comes to certain people, but I do know that a lot of people do love Final Wars, so power to them, you know what I'm saying? But yes, give us these monsters. Give us these monsters that, again, we're sorely lacking in the marketplace. And again, it's nice to have these Millennium pieces in particular, you know what I'm saying? Because I think the Millennium monsters, the designs of the Millennium monsters, they're absolutely great. And to have them in collectible form done right is a beautiful thing as well, you know what I'm saying? So let's see what the backstory about how I got these figures or model kits, who made them, who built and painted them for me, all that good stuff. So who should we start off first? I'm going to try and breeze through this because, again, we got 4 of them, and I'm not trying to be here for no 2 hours. Let's start off with let's see, Kumonga. Yes, Kumonga. Oh yeah, Kumonga looks absolutely great. You know what I'm saying? It's a variation basically of the Showa Kumonga, you know, just tweaked in certain areas, you know, whatever. I love the fact that it's tall, somewhat tall, you know, that he's standing on top of his on the points of his legs. You'll see this Kumonga with the Showa Kumonga in the first size comparison later on. So you see the difference between the sculpts between the two Kumongas. But as you can see here, you know, he is upright, you know, whatever. I do have this tail stand from a gigantic X Plus figure that I'm not using, and I put it underneath Kumonga here to just, you know, alleviate some of that pressure on the weight of his legs, you know, whatever. 'Cause I don't want this thing to snap, you know, 'cause it is made of resin, you know what I'm saying? So the sculpt looks really, really good. The paint job that Doc Mack applied to Kumonga looks absolutely great, you know what I'm saying? The browns and the yellows and the clear blue eyes, you know, the 8 eyes that he has, you know, whatever. Again, it's a great sculpt. And again, kind of like the Showa Kumonga that you'll see later on, he doesn't take that much space, to be honest with you. He's more wide and more expansive because of him being a wide monster. He does cover a lot of ground, but not as much as the Showa one, because his legs are more spread out, whereas this one is more curved in. And again, he's taller, so I really do like that. So the sculpt of Kumonga 2004 from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, courtesy of the awesome Doc Mack, the way he built and painted, looks absolutely great. Now let's go towards, let's see who's next. Let's go with Manila. Let's go with Minya. Yes! The Final Wars Minya. And again, I know when this character popped up in the movie, I'm sure there were a lot of people that collectively groaned. They were like, no, no, of all monsters to bring back, why did you bring back this one? Why couldn't you bring back Jet Jaguar or Mecha Godzilla or the Gargantuous or something? Why Minya? And again, I've always said I've never had a problem with Minya. You know, I never had a problem with the little guy. I like him, you know what I'm saying? He's really, really cool. And I've always wanted representation, believe it or not, of the Final Wars Minya in my collection, you know what I'm saying? And again, this is technically a 30 centimeter figure, even though he's not as big as the other monsters. But that goes along how he was sized in the film. Now, because he wasn't as big, let's say, as the Showa Minya from the Showa period. Minya from the Showa period was probably half the size of Godzilla, whereas the Final Wars Minya, he's like maybe the quarter of the size when he does grow big, because he goes from human size to bigger size. But again, he's not as big as the Showa Minya, from what I understand. So this kit was really, really small. So again, it's more impressive that Marcellus was the one that did the building and painting of this kit. But because this kit is so small, he had to work extra hard to get all the details, the paint job right, or you know, on Minya, and he looks absolutely great. The pose looks great with his arms up, looks really, really good. He's upright, you know, centered upright. You know, the dorsal plates on the back, the small little dorsal plates, shades of the Showa Minya, you know, with the smaller bumps, you know, the variation of the dorsal plates on his back look really, really good. The stubby tail looks good. The legs, the abdomen, the whole sculpt of Minya looks absolutely great. And again, the paint job, phenomenal. The paint job looks absolutely great. Again, Marcellus, he had to work probably with a daggone magnifying glass to get the paint job right on this figure, especially the eyes, because again, the eyes are really, really small on this model kit per se. So again, sculpt wise, paint job wise, Marcellus did his thing on the Minya 2004. Thank you so much. Let's see who is next. And honestly, between these four, the next two are probably my most favorite from the four of this bunch. Nothing against Minya and Kumonga, but my God, Anguirus and Rodan. Woo! Marcellus, I love you. You did a great job. Oh my God, let's see who's going next. Rodan. Okay, let's go with Rodan next. Oh boy, Lord have mercy. Oh my God, finally I got a Millennium Rodan in my collection. And again, this is kind of like a great acquisition for me, because again, I've always wanted pretty much every single major monster, you know, of the 5 pillars of Toho Studios: Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Mecha Godzilla, right? I've always wanted those 5, at least a representation of one of those 5 from every single major era, you know what I'm saying? At least Showa, Heisei, Millennium, you know what I'm saying? Because we haven't got a MonsterVerse Mecha Godzilla yet. But I've always wanted a representation of one of those 5, at least all of them, from the 3 major eras, you know what I'm saying? And for the longest time, Rodan was the one that I didn't have a representation of the Millennium Series. Even though I know that Bandai put out, I think, a Final Wars Rodan. There might be other Final Wars Rodans from other companies. But I wanted a big, sizable, realistic version of Rodan from that movie. And again, he was the one that I couldn't get my hands on. I really couldn't get my hands on. But then when Galloping Ghost said they were going to do Rodan, I was like, I gotta have it. I got to have it. Even Marcellus, he didn't get this Rodan, for what I understand, at the time it's recorded. I know that he's trying to actively pursue it. But when he got it in his hands and he saw the sculpt, how clean the sculpt was, and then once he put it all together and painted for me, even he was like, dude, I don't know if I can send this to you. I know you bought it. I know you paid for it. I know it's yours, but this might be one of the few times where I have to keep this one. You know what I'm saying? But again, I've always wanted to have a Millennium version of Rodan in my collection, and now I finally have one, you know what I'm saying? And he looks great up against the other Rodans I have in my collection, because again, I have pretty much every single live-action Rodan from every major era: Showa, Heisei, now Millennium, and MonsterVerse, you know what I'm saying? And he looks great up against the various Rodans I have in my collection. But the sculpt here looks absolutely great. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, again, he's a true 30 centimeter. He's really, really wide, you know, whatever. With the wingspan, looks really, really good. Again, I'm accustomed to that, you know what I'm saying? Because I collect 30 centimeter S plus figures of Rodan, and they're big too. So this is no exception. So again, the sculpt looks absolutely great, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The horns on top of his head looks great. The closed beak. The plates on his abdomen as well as his knees here. The toes look really, really good. The toenails on the back of his heels look great. Again, the claws on his hands, on his wings. Oh my God, looks really, really good. And since this is a resin model kit, and because the tips of his wings are like curved outward, it props him up basically on my shelf. So I don't have to worry about this Rodan toppling down or doing a nosedive like many other Rodans I've gotten over the years, you know what I'm saying? So that was good. If that was done intentionally by Doc in the sculpting process to have the wingtips kind of curved outwards to have them propped up more. Hey, kudos to Doc for that, because again, there have been so many Rodans I bought over the years, and when I come to my collection room, I've seen plenty of them have taken a nosedive and all that good stuff. But at least I don't have to worry about that with this Rodan, you know what I'm saying? So sculpt-wise, it looks absolutely great. And the paint job, woo, looks really, really good. And again, it has shades of the Fire Rodan from the Heisei series. And it looks good. The reds, looks pop out, pop out well. The tan and the beige going towards the outskirts of the wings here looks really, really good, as well as the plates on his chest and his knees. Looks absolutely great. I think Marcellus did a dark green or dark black when it comes to the pupils. That's how it was in certain photographs of Rodan from 2004. So again, from top to bottom, Rodan looks absolutely great. Sculpt-wise, paint job-wise, again, it's like Marcellus gets better, and better every time I get a new project from him. At the time of this recording, I still think the Tenjitsu Crash Gigantic 84 is the best work he has ever done, with the custom Titanosaurus coming in a close second. But Rodan here, oh my God, he is nipping at their heels, because Marcellus has done a great job. But then again, the next model kit I'm going to talk about may trump Rodan. Again, oh God, this is so great. This is so great. Now, finally, let's go towards Anguirus. Anguirus 2004. And again, kind of like Rodan, this was another monster I wanted to add into my collection. As a matter of fact, again, S Plus has done a few monsters from Final Wars that they have put in either the 30cm line or 25cm line. They've done Godzilla, they've done Final Wars Guy again, they've done Monster X, they have done Kaiser Ghidorah. But the one monster I want them to do next, out of all the monsters on the roster from Final Wars, was Anguirus. I wanted them to do a Final Wars Anguirus. Somebody to do a Final Wars Anguirus. And kind of like what Galloping Ghost announced when it came to the Final Wars Rodan, when they announced they were doing Anguirus, again, I had to have it. I had to have it. And this thing looks absolutely phenomenal. And it's a good size. Again, a true 30cm figure, kind of like Rodan, even though he may not be as tall as Rodan, but still, he commands a lot of shelf presence. Or at least he commands a lot of space on your shelves. From the tip of his snout to the tip of his long tail that sticks directly outward, this thing is at least 26 or 27 inches long. So again, if you get this model kit, he's gonna need some space. But he's so well worth it, especially if you're an Anguirus fan, at least a fan from Anguirus from that movie. And Marcellus has done a phenomenal job with Anguirus here. Again, I'm torn as to determine which is the better work, Anguirus or Rodan. Why don't you let me know in the comment section, which one do you think is the better work for Marcellus when it comes to Rodan and Anguirus? Nothing against Minya and nothing against Kumonga, even though Marcellus didn't do Kumonga. But between these two in particular, which one do you think is the better work? Because again, I'm torn. I can't answer that question. Rodan looks phenomenal and Anguirus looks phenomenal. And oh my God, the paint job looks great on Anguirus, you know what I'm saying? The way he applied the tannish paint scheme to the spikes, as well as the spikes on his tail, the horns in the back of his head, the horn on his nose, as well as the teeth. Oh my God, the color of the mouth looks really, really good. Again, paint job wise, he's done a phenomenal job. Sculpt wise, it is an awesome rendition of Anguirus from Final Wars, you know what I'm saying? So again, kind of like Rodan, I feel so complete having this Anguirus in my collection, because I'm a fan of Anguirus, you know what I'm saying? I love Anguirus, just like I know a lot of y'all out there love Anguirus. But if you want a quality rendition of the Final Wars Anguirus, again, kind of like Rodan, I think Bandai put out Final Wars Anguirus, and maybe a couple other people have done that. But if you want the absolute most realistic, best one that could be built and painted by an expert model painter and builder like Marcellus or Doc or Steve Savagoli or John LeGrand or anybody, Go after the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo resin model kit of Anguirus 2004 and you will not be disappointed. Especially if you're a fan of Final Wars, and especially if you're a fan of Anguirus. Oh my god, this is so great. So that pretty much wraps up the up close and personal look of all these 4 great resin model kits from Final Wars: Kumonga, Minya, Anguirus, and Rodan. Oh god, this is so great. So again, thank you to Doc and thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. Yes. Now, let's do a couple size comparisons, because you know we gotta do size comparisons. Now, I'm not gonna drown in the fig reviewing size comparisons. Really, I'm gonna just do 2. And before we bring up the other Final Wars collectibles I have in my collection to put together with these 4 right here, that's gonna be the second size comparison. In the first size comparison, however, I'm gonna bring up their Showa counterparts. Yes, I'm going to bring up my collectibles of the Showa Kumonga, a Showa Minya, a Showa Anguirus, and a Showa Rodan to see how the old mixes with the new in this first size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the first size comparison, and yes, this is so awesome. Yes, it is. Old school versus new school. Yes. This is so great. And alongside the 4 resin model kits, courtesy of the awesome Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo model kit studio of Rodan, Kumonga, Minya, and Anguirus from 2004's Godzilla Final Wars, I have their Showa collectible counterparts. Yes. Down the bottom, opposing Anguirus, I have the Monster Maker 28 3cm kit of Anguirus 1968, but I had him painted as a 1972 Anguirus. Next to Minya, I have the 25cm Minya 1969. That was the Rick exclusive that came with the 25cm Gabra, you know what I'm saying? And of course, next to Kumonga, opposing Kumonga, that is the X Plus 25cm 1968 Kumonga that has the red eyes. And in the back, next to Rodan, opposing the Final Wars Rodan, that is the probably 32 centimeter, because he's a little bit bigger than the Final Wars Rodan. That is the Resin Chef Rodan from 1965's Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. And as you can see here, again, this is so great. Again, you get the old mixed with the new. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I enjoy about the Millennium Series. That, again, these monster designs are really cool. Some monster designs, I'm not a fan of every single one of them, quite frankly. But again, a good chunk of them, I probably would say maybe 80 to 90% of them are actually really cool, especially the reinterpreted ones that we seen from the Showa period. You know what I'm saying? Because again, as far as like Rodan, we have not seen Rodan. As far as like Final Wars, we have not seen. The last appearance of Rodan was from 1993's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Kumonga, the last time we saw him was in 1968's Destroy All Monsters, and unless you count the stock footage from Godzilla's Revenge. Minya, the same thing. The last time we saw him was in Godzilla's Revenge, and the last time we saw Anguirus was in 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. You know what I'm saying? So again, even though I have my issues with Final Wars, it was nice for them to bring back these classic monsters that we know and love from the Showa period. And now I have these collectibles in my collection. You know, this is like another setup option I could put on my shelf, mixing the old with the new, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. All right, so that's it with the first size comparison with, again, the old school versions of the monsters versus their new school counterparts. That looks so amazing. So now let's bring up the other Final Wars collectibles that I have in my collection to kind of create the full roster, at least somewhat of the full roster from the film of Godzilla Final Wars in its final size comparison. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, here we are with the final size comparison. Isn't that appropriate? Final size comparison for Final Wars. Sorry, that was a bad joke. But anyways, this is pretty much the good chunk of the monster roster from Final Wars. You know what I'm saying? From various pieces I have in my collection. You know, you have Mondo pieces, X Plus pieces, resin model kits. You know what I'm saying? All converged together to pretty much comprise a good majority of the monsters in the film. Now, again, there were 15 monsters in the film where I only have 9. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to do my best to try and go after the rest of them. Not all of them, because again, there were some monster designs from the film I didn't particularly care for. But again, as I mentioned earlier, Zilla, King Seesaw, Hedra, those are the ones I'm going to try and go after. You know what I'm saying? But still to have 9 of them, a good chunk of the roster, is really, really good in my opinion. So let's go from left to right. Of course, the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo resin model kit of Rodan. In the foreground, I have the awesome Toho Blu-ray of Godzilla Final Wars. Again, if I really hate the film, you really think I would have this much stuff? Just saying, I just want to point that out there. Next to him, I have the X Plus 25 centimeter Rick exclusive figure release of Monster X. Above him, I have the 30 centimeter Final Wars guy again. Next to him, of course, is Godzilla. Above them both is the resin model kit of Kaiser Ghidorah from Goro, which X Plus actually adapted into a vinyl figure and they put it on their 25 centimeter roster. You know what I'm saying? Next to Kaiser Ghidorah, I have the Mondo 2003 release of Mothra. Now again, that's the 2003 release from the previous film in the Millennium Series, Godzilla Tokyo SOS. But from what I understand, they did reuse the Mothra prop, the adult Mothra prop from that film, and put it in Final Wars. I think all they did was darken the fur on her, but pretty much it's the same prop. So you can get away with that using the Mondo 2003 Mothra for the setup here. Of course, below her, you know, the Galloping Ghost resin model kit of Kumonga 2004. Below him, you know, Minya 2004. And finally, Anguirus 2004. And again, 9 monsters, that's not bad. you know what I'm saying? Not bad for a film that's not high up there, in my opinion. But again, I'm a huge fan of some of the monster designs. There's a good majority of the monster designs in the film. And this is a great setup moving forward that I might do, honestly. Since I'm going to be shutting down the channel and not doing regular content anymore, I really probably won't need this table, you know, to do reviews on. So I might just use this table to have this setup here, what you see before you right now. You know, the almost complete full roster from Final Wars. So again, Godzilla up against the other monsters looks absolutely great. And again, thank you to Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. I now can fulfill my quest somewhat of fulfilling what I want to have as far as like Final Wars to complete the roster, or at least somewhat complete the roster somewhere down the line. You know what I'm saying? So that's it with all the size comparison I want to put in this video with these 4 awesome resin model kits from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. This is so great. So let's go to the final commentary portion of the video with my final thoughts of the awesome 4 resin model kits of Anguirus, Rodan, Minya, and Kumonga from the epic appearance from Godzilla Final Wars in 2004. So let's do that, ladies and gentlemen, right now. Okay, folks, I'm back on my final thoughts of the 4 awesome resin model kits from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo of the awesome Rodan, Anguirus, Minya, and Kumonga 2004 from their epic appearance from the final film of the Godzilla Millennium Series, Godzilla Final Wars. 10 out of 10! These awesome resin model kits are absolutely amazing. The sculpts are perfect. The paint jobs are perfect. Again, Doc and Marcellus did their thing on these things. Oh my God, these are so great. And in a way, it kind of makes me appreciate the film just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, which is a plus. That has happened many times over the years for me. I may not love a film, but once I get a particular collectible of that, from that film, and if the collectible is awesome, it'll make me go back and watch the film and gain a newfound appreciation for it. And these awesome resin model kits have done that for me in terms of Final Wars. So again, they have done a phenomenal job. Again, Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, I highly suggest you go on their website or go to the Kaiju Kits website and look up their roster of monsters that they are doing, you know what I'm saying? Again, he's doing the entire full roster lineup in 30 centimeter scale from Final Wars, and I think he's pretty much got all of them down and ready to go. I think a few of them, needs licensing approval or something like that, but again, I think he's well on his way to get the full roster released at some point, you know what I'm saying? And I'm looking forward to see what other obscure monsters that is not heavily represented in the marketplace that we may get from this awesome resin model kit studio. And again, with the 72 Godzilla with Kumonga and Minya and Anguirus and Rodan, yes, I'm going to be investing more into that company. So again, thank you to Doc Mack and thank you to Marcellus for making this happen for me. Again, I love them all, don't get me wrong, but the ones I'm most excited for is Anguirus and Rodan. I'm still trying to figure out which one I like more, you know what I'm saying? Because they're both are done absolutely well, perfect in my opinion. But again, as you saw in the size comparisons, these these model kits look great up against other monsters from the film from various companies, as long as it's in 30 centimeter scale. Like I know the Kaiju that I have and Monster X are in 25 centimeter scale, but they're big enough where you can get away with it. Or the Mondo Mothra, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's from the previous film, Tokyo SOS, but against the same prop, so you can get away with it. You know, it may not be 100% perfect, but it's perfect enough for this fan right here, you know what I'm saying? And again, getting a Rodan and Anguirus from the Millennium Series, again, it kind of like crosses that bucket list thing off my list, you know what I'm saying? And in terms, again, these model kits look great up against the monsters that were in the film with them. But again, you can also recreate fantasy setups, because, you know, I'm huge into that as well. In terms of Rodan, you can actually recreate Monster Zero, but put a Millennium twist with it by having the Final Wars Rodan and the Kaiju and have them all three together, you know what I'm saying, to kind of recreate Monster Zero, but it's like in the Millennium style, you know what I'm saying? That is that is so awesome. That is so awesome. When I put those three together to set up for the video here, even I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. Or how about the monster lineup from Godzilla vs. Gigan, where you have Godzilla, the Final Wars Anguirus, Kaiju, as well as Gigan, right? And kind of recreate Godzilla vs. Gigan with a Millennium twist. You know what I'm saying? That looks absolutely great. Again, when I put those four together, I was like, yeah, that's cool as well. You know what I'm saying? Or how about the final battle of Son of Godzilla, but with the Millennium twist with Godzilla, Minya, and the Final Wars Kumonga. You know what I'm saying? So you got some options on your hands if you do go after these pieces. Again, where you put them with monsters from Final Wars or recreating fantasy setups with the Millennium twist, like I just mentioned, you know what I'm saying? You got some great possibilities on your hands. So again, I cannot recommend these awesome resin model kits enough. I cannot recommend Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo enough. And I definitely can't recommend Doc Mack and Marcellus Winters. Again, they are awesome. They are amazing. And they have provided me a great service with these awesome figures. Again, since we're going to the closing moments of the channel, and now I'm talking about the final film for the Millennium Series, you know what I'm saying? I still got one more video to do, and as you saw in my last video, I mentioned that I'm going to be covering something from the Millennium Series, the final film of the Millennium Series, and since I am doing that right now, you already know the next video will be about something from the final film from the Heisei series, you know what I'm saying? To kind of put a bow on the regular content on the channel, you know what I'm saying? But again, let's talk about Final Wars just a little bit. Now, again, historically on the channel, I have not been too kind to this film. If you go back and watch my content, if you do choose to do this, you have never heard me say that I absolutely hate Godzilla Final Wars. I may talk crap about it, I may bash it, I may, you know, not say the most glowing praise about it, but I have never ever said I hate it. Now, if I hate something, that means I do not want to revisit it. I don't want to have collectibles from it. I don't have anything to do with it. I guess you could say the anime trilogy kind of falls into that, because again, I don't care if I get anything from that daggone trilogy of movies. If you love those movies, good for you. But for me, that just doesn't do anything for me. That, again, if I were to leave this world tomorrow, if I don't get a Godzilla Earth in my collection, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. You know what I'm saying? But Final Wars wasn't in that territory, you know what I'm saying? Again, I do have a fondness for some of the monsters of the film, quite frankly. And you would think, with me being a Showa fan, that I would love this film, because a lot of times you hear Godzilla fans, especially fans that grew up with the Showa period and view the Showa films as their favorite era of films. A lot of times you would hear, like, again, the Showa series is so great, but again, with the Heisei series and the Millennium series, you might hear a few candidates from those series say, you know what, that feels like a Showa film, even though it's in the Heisei and the Millennium. I think some of the candidates that fall into that category is, I think Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, I think would have fit right in the Showa period. I think Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla would definitely fit right in the Showa period, especially GMK, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, GMK would have fit right in the Showa period. And I have to admit, I have to give the credit where credit is due. I think Final Wars would be great if it would fit in the Showa series, you know what I'm saying? Because again, not only did that bring back so many familiar faces that we have not seen since the Showa period, you know what I'm saying? Kumonga, Minya, Anguirus, Anguirus, you know what I'm saying? King Caesar, you know, whatever. Again, they brought out some music, some old music, you know what I'm saying? And the film is just a wacky, over-the-top fare, you know, with aliens using monsters to take over the world, a la Destroy All Monsters. So again, Final Wars really does feel like a Showa film, you know what I'm saying? But again, I just had some issues with the execution. You know what I'm saying? Again, kind of like Destroy All Monsters, because we all know at one point, Destroy All Monsters was planned to be the last Godzilla film. And before we got the MonsterVerse and Shin Godzilla and -1, Final Wars was going to be the last Godzilla film, at least for a while, right? And I have to say that, you know, it's easy to say this in hindsight now, but if Final Wars, kind of like Destroy All Monsters, if this was the final Godzilla film, considering what we got after that, I would be disappointed, you know what I'm saying? But I will give it that the film is really, really fun. It's fun. I will give it that, you know. Again, I had some issues with it, but I cannot deny that that film is fun in a lot of parts. You know, it has a lot more fun going forward than it has going against it. You know what I'm saying? So I will at least give it that. So I'm not going to bash the film, especially when I'm trying to close out the channel on a positive note, quite frankly. There is some stuff to love. I would say even a lot to love with Godzilla Final Wars, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't, that is perfectly fine. But I'm starting to come around on the film. Gojira 851, you kind of convinced me to come around on the film just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And which is an accomplishment, because I know I'm kind of old in my age, and I'm kind of stuck in my ways, and, you know, I'm afraid of change, just like I'm sure a lot of y'all are. But when it comes to change, it doesn't hurt to change on Godzilla Final Wars just a little bit, especially with the film coming up on its 20th anniversary in a couple of weeks, you know what I'm saying? So give Final Wars a watch, you know what I'm saying? It is a fun ride. It really is a fun ride. It does honor the show period in a lot of ways. It was nice to see some of these monsters come back, so I will at least give it that, you know what I'm saying? But in the meantime, if you can find these resin model kits, again, hit up Doc Mack on Facebook, or hit up Marcellus Winters, you know what I'm saying? Hit up one of those two fine gentlemen to see if you can get your hands on these resin model kits. Again, they're unbuilt, they're not painted, so you have to find somebody to build and paint it for you unless you can do the job yourself. But once you have them, oh my God, in my opinion, the best representations of these monsters from the film of Final Wars. There's no question about that. Yes, yes, yes. So that pretty much concludes my review of the 4 awesome resin model kits from the Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo, courtesy of Doc Mack and built and painted by Marcellus Winters, of Anguirus, Rodan, Kumonga, and Minya 2004, from the epic appearance from the final film in the Godzilla Millennium Series, Godzilla Final Wars. You have any questions, comment down in the comment section. Hit me on Facebook via Lesbian Chambers with Death, where we go from there. Yes, once again, woo! These things are great. Oh God, again, I'm torn. I'm torn which one I like the most. Rodan, Anguirus. Again, Kumonga is great too. Even Minya. Again, why don't you let me know in the comment section, from these 4, which one do you think is the best built and painted model kit from these 4? Is it Kumonga, Minya? Well, he might win. Anguirus or Rodan? I would like to know. Let me know in the comment section, which one do you find to be the better resin model kit built and painted from these 4? You know what I'm saying? And just let me know. But again, thank you to Doc, thank you to Marcellus. I really, really, really do appreciate it. And man, God almighty, I'm dreading it. I really am. You know what I'm saying? Even though I have come to the decision to end the channel, I'm really dreading it. But we got to push forward here. So in the next video, the final video on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. Again, I kind of teased it when I talked about it has something to do with the final film from the Heisei series. In the next video, we will cover the X Plus favorite sculptor's line, perfect form of Godzilla's final opponent in 1995's Godzilla vs. Destroyer, with the perfect form of Destroyer. That will be the last and pretty much final video on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews, and I can't wait to get that out for y'all. I'm gonna try and get that out before the end of the year. More likely I probably will, but if not, it might be around the first of the year if I can't get it done before the end of the year. But again, that will be the final video of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. You know what I'm saying? So again, thank you so much to all of y'all who have supported my channel, my efforts, my reviews, everything. All of y'all that have stuck with me these last 10 years. I really, really do appreciate it. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Again, we got the Destroyer video, and I'm going to do a going away live stream probably on the 30th of this month, which is like a week from today at the time of this recording. So we got a couple more things left before we go out on a high note, going out in a blaze of glory. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully y'all can be there with me for that. But I'll let you know when that is happening for sure when the time comes. It's going to be real soon. So please stay on social media for that announcement. But until then, I highly recommend these awesome resin model kits, courtesy of the awesome folks from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. So ladies and gentlemen, I finally give to you the awesome 4 resin model kits of Rodan, Minya, Anguirus, and Kumonga from Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo from the epic appearance from 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you again on this figure move review. All right? Y'all take it easy.